Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our podcast. We're really excited to bring you this podcast where we wanted to talk a little bit about menopause. However, I know that some of you that are maybe going through menopause or even those that aren't yet, you're probably thinking there's so much out there about menopause. Is there anything more that I need to know? And that's kind of what makes this a little bit more interesting because Rosie and I have had a look to see, are there other things that we need to bear in mind when we move through this journey and just sort of change our perceptions a little bit about menopause as well. So like always, we want to make sure that these podcasts give you that aha moment. Uh, if you have one of those moments, please do share that with us. So good morning, Rosie.
Morning.
It was very interesting when I think as a woman who is in my perimenopausal journey, I
Mm.
think that when you are younger, you don't really think too much about it until it knocks on your door. But something that I read recently, which made me really sit up, they said, not every woman has a child, but every woman goes through menopause.
Mhm.
And I thought that's really interesting because it's something that we can't avoid in our lives. And
Exactly.
it's such a change in the female body, physically, emotionally, everything changes.
And it's hard to understand for some people too. I think it really rocks them. And it's probably because there has not been a lot of information out there in the past. And it's fantastic that we're actually finally getting that sort of seeping through.
Yeah, they do a lot more about it, which is good because by the time our girls get to, particularly my age,
Mm.
it'll kind of just be part of the norm. And there probably will be better medications and better things that our girls will go through. Because even just yesterday, I read something where they were saying that I think it's Generation Alpha, which is kind of the children that are born into the 2018s and even now,
Yeah.
they're
Hmm.
going to live to 120. So it'll be
That will be
interesting.
my girl.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be
Yeah.
really younger. So it'll be
Yes.
interesting to see, will we evolve as women? Will we go through menopause a little bit later? Because they say, 70 is going to be the new 60. So it's
Mm.
interesting to see if we evolve, because that's what humans do. We evolve. Yeah.
Potentially, or even maybe it's more the understanding around how to manage it better and then manage the stress that comes with it. Because it's the stress, I believe, that actually ages us significantly. We might go through it more seamlessly, which would be amazing.
I suppose
Yeah.
it gives us more time on the other side, if we called it that, where we can enjoy that part of life. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
If you're getting it now and then depending, you're 60 and then you're 70 and then you're 80 and then, whereas if we live into 120,
Mm.
you've got another 60 years of enjoying a whole different life.
How good. You'll get to 60 and then you won't have to freak out too much, which is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one of those things that you were talking about, like when we were researching this, about how certain cultures
Mm.
at menopause
I
differently.
think that's actually really beautiful. So, like, there was a little bit of information that I read about cultures in southern Thailand, I believe it was, and also parts of China. And they actually have a celebration when a woman enters her menopausal years. So they call it the new spring, I believe. And it's really a celebration of change, essentially. So taking away the doom and gloom of menopause a little bit, which I think is good. It's a huge part of women's lives. Like it's a huge time and period that you're in from perimenopause to menopause to postmenopausal. And yeah, they celebrate it. And it's sort of looking at the positives. Like you don't have to worry about getting pregnant anymore. Don't have to worry about your period. Just simple things like that, but also embracing change as well.
The things that come with that, like endometriosis, all of that type of stuff that
Yeah.
does cripple some women a lot in the years that they are fertile.
Yeah. Yeah. And embracing the wisdom that you have with age. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. Like, I think the society has really pumped negativity into women aging and, it's just become the norm now, but it doesn't have to be that way. It can also be a beautiful thing.
So I think I'm not sure which religion it is, and it might be the Jewish religion that when children hit puberty, it's a big
Mm.
celebration. You don't hear the other side. And maybe there's something we do have to start doing in our culture is, having a perimenopausal, postmenopausal party. I don't know when you sort of do it, when you start, or do you do it at the end? I'm not sure, but I feel like maybe that's something we should just start.
Yeah, making it less of a negative thing, right? Yeah, and also celebrating the knowledge that you might have as well, that you might have learned.
Yes.
and kind of, yeah, going about it a little bit more softly rather than,
And if I
it
look
being your big bad menopausal years.
if I
Yeah.
look like women in the world who've really sort of gone on and progressed in their careers and done incredibly well, it normally happens
Mm,
at this time in life when they're sort of in their late 40s, 50s. I think also I've realized as I'm going through this is that you do start to care less. And that's actually part of losing estrogen is that you lose that nurturing, worrying about what other people think,
yes.
and you kind of realize, you only have a certain period of time. So I might as well just get on with it. And I think that sometimes where that grumpy old lady sort of scenario comes a little bit.
But it's really just you holding your own.
Exactly.
Really.
And we should be celebrating it and it being a great time.
I do think it is a really overwhelming thing, and you do feel quite out of control as well. I haven't really ever obviously felt the effects yet of menopause, or maybe not perimenopause. I don't know yet. I'm 35. But I have felt the effects of hormones post having my little girl. Before then, never had any issues with periods at all. So never had mood swings, nothing. And now I'm like, actually, like, this can be
Yeah.
really impactful, and you can feel like you are out of control, but then you do have to sort of like bring yourself into the center and be like, actually, I can control a lot. And I can make some decisions to influence how my hormones are and, my health is as well. But I do think it's really fascinating what happens to women. So we do get the short end of the stick, like when it comes to hot flushes. Basically, your hypothalamus, so like your brain's control center, it becomes really hypersensitive when your estrogen drops. So obviously estrogen's dropping as you go into perimenopause and menopause. So that makes it really sensitive to temperature changes. So your hot flushes are basically your body thinking that you're going into hypothermia or into a dangerous hypothermia state. So almost like bordering death. So that's why it increases that heat within your body, and that's why you get that extreme hot flush. And that's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yes, it is. But
Yeah.
what I also found is not every woman goes through that. Not every woman has hot flashes. And that's why there's been a lot of talk about when you go to a doctor, they only say you're perimenopausal when you're having that. And people are saying, but what I've come to realize is there are so many symptoms to menopause. Like it's just huge, 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 huge. And with my own personal journey, I haven't had the hot flashes, but I suffer badly from vertigo. And that's very irritating for me. Do you know what I mean? And even when I am getting my period, I get bad vertigo. So I know it's hormone
Right.
related. Um, never used to have that. I think that's
Mm.
also tricky with this time is that there could be like over 50 different type of symptoms. It doesn't mean you have to have a hot flash. I don't know why some women do and some women don't. It could be the speed at which your estrogen's dropping. It could be maybe the HRT.
Maybe you talked about there was different types of estrogen. Maybe it's what's, yeah, influence there.
Yeah, so the female body has three types of estrogen. And the one that we rapidly lose when we're going through this is called your estradiol. And that is an anabolic hormone. When people think of anabolic hormones, they always think of testosterone. So that's the male version of it. And that's what helps us retain muscle, the collagen in our skin. It
Yeah.
gives us youth. And then obviously when we are pregnant, our uterus also secretes a type of estrogen called estrol.
Mm.
And so that sort of tends to be more produced when we are pregnant. But then when we go through menopause, the estrogen that really dominates in our body is called estrogen. And that's actually produced by our ovaries and adipose tissue. And that also is a reason why women tend to pick up weight because that adipose tissue produces the estrogen that we require for the rest of our lives, right? When we talk about estrogen decline, we're actually talking about the estradiol decline.
Yeah.
On an HRT, it'll actually state the type of estrogen, and most of the times it's that estradiol that they are supplement.
I find it quite fascinating because, I mean, it might be a bit backwards, but I always thought that the pouch or like the buildup of fat tissue around your belly region was to protect you for when you are pregnant. Like, essentially, I
Yes.
thought that was what that was. So if you're going into menopause and you're, slowly going to be losing the ability to get pregnant and you won't be having your periods anymore, etc.,
Yes.
wouldn't you lose that?
Yeah. It's interesting. That. I think what also happens with estrogen, when you get that change in estrogen, it also affects your insulin. So women
Yes.
become insulin resistant, and that also builds, you start to add
Your
extra,
body stores the glucose as fat. Yes, yeah.
and it's a part of it, So it's quite complex how our hormones work within our body.
I think it's so complex, so many different factors to consider as well. It's quite
Yeah.
interesting actually. I didn't know that the human, as well as some species of whale, like the narwhal, the beluga whale, they basically are the only mammals on the planet that go through menopause. So
It is.
that's quite
I wonder if they feel different.
maybe. Did they get hot flashes in the ocean? I don't know. Like random, isn't it? Isn't that
And
odd?
I think yesterday when we were talking, we were like, would we rather have our period for the rest of our life? Like, would we
Mm.
rather be fertile and have estrogen for the rest of our lives, or would we like to go through this? I think it was something we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, I think we landed on would like to be fertile.
For the rest of, because we were
Yeah.
saying other mammals like elephants and stuff just stay fertile for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
But then I suppose there's that whole thing is the likelihood, potential of falling pregnant would be a lot higher your whole life. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
imagine in your 60s and you found yourself pregnant or something. It would just be, or if you were, I'm just thinking these worst case scenarios, you're a much older woman and you have dementia and you're still getting your period. Like, those are quite difficult things for us as humans to kind of
very
get our
hard to
heads
navigate.
around.
Yeah, there's gotta be a reason.
Yeah,
There's gotta be a
exactly.
reason
So
why
I
we
think,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think in some ways we do kind of celebrate. But what I have seen a lot, which I think is great too, is there's a lot of men on social media talking about menopause and talking about the changes in their wives and their partners, because men are oblivious, and I see
Mm,
this with my own husband, oblivious
mm.
to really what happens on a monthly basis that I deal with, but also oblivious to the changes that happen. I read something, two statistics were really, really sad, and they said that women at this stage of their lives through the menopause journey, there is something like a 30% increase in suicide. It's not often a form of death that women often do.
No,
Men are
no.
known to commit suicide more than women, but if
Yeah.
women do, it's this time of their life. And marriage breakups are incredibly high at this
Yeah,
time, right?
yeah, yeah.
And it's
Probably due to the time factor as well, that they may have been together too, but then absolutely,
yes,
like, those hormonal changes can
yes.
really impact the relationship. I guess your ability to communicate, and because men don't really understand it as well. So you're right, it's great that they are learning.
Think even some big podcasters out there, like the Stephen Bartlett's of the world, even he's had men coming on and talking about how my wife changed, and how it's actually a time when I find when you are pregnant as a woman, people rally around you because you're pregnant.
Yes.
But really, we should rally around women too when they're going through this stage. Because they say it's like the most drastic change the human body ever goes. It's even more drastic than pregnancy.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
female body goes through, because as you said, it goes from the brain to how you look, to how you feel, to how your body functions. There's just so much. And in some ways, that's how you can look at it and say, well, it's quite cruel. Why do we have to go through
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
I do think it's really cruel. I think it's unfair that we get the short end of the stick there, and, that it's not considered with empathy, like it really isn't. It's quite
Yeah.
sad. So hopefully that does change in time. Absolutely.
Think it will. I definitely think over time. And as I said, by the time our girls get here, everybody just knows about it, and maybe there are better things in place to support women, you know?
Yes, and I think we are getting to understand that as well. So understanding a bit more how the body works, and I think for a long time it's sort of been considered that weight training and having lean muscle mass is a very masculine trait, and in some ways it can be, but also it's very important for women to be strong, very important, and to have strong muscles, because muscles are a cognitive organ. They do distribute hormones, and that's going to help us ease into the menopausal years a lot better. We can take things like creatine, for example, to help with that. Women require more creatine. Their bodies naturally store, like, is it 70% less
Yes.
than what men do? So creatine drives your ATP production. So that's your body's energy, right? So it gives you your output when you're weight training. It helps your body recover, helps you build strong muscles. And definitely your strong muscles, but also like your bones as well and connective tissue. So all of that is really important.
Would you just say that women should skip or jump, did you say?
Jump. Yeah, yeah.
What
So
about jumping on a trampoline or just like jumping on a hard surface?
actually jumping on a hard
Oh, I think
surface.
it's the jump.
Yeah, yeah. So jumping on a hard surface, I think it was 3 to 5 minutes of jumping
Right.
on a hard surface a couple of times a week. So that's going to help to build bone density. Particularly, this is talking about women going through
Yes.
menopause. So, really important. And yeah, taking creatine would help with that recovery as well. But literally just 3 times a week, quite heavy loading strength
Yes.
training. So, making sure that you are upping your weights. Don't get too comfortable and make sure your form is good. But that's going to really, really help you throughout menopause.
I also just read recently that they said that the strength of your thighs determines the longevity of a person, right? So there was
I'm gonna live to 500 then. That's great.
so, women really need to stop
Yes.
with the Pilates and the walks and that type of stuff and really get into the gym. And if you don't want to go to the gym, I mean, there's so many, you can buy weights from Kmart. There's so many places you can buy weights from,
Kettlebells are a really good one, just one
and
heavy
really
kettlebell.
start pumping weights, like
Yeah,
really start. I think this idea that women sort of, build muscle and start to look, that doesn't really happen. I know there's some girls that can build muscle easier than others, but it's really about building as much muscle as we possibly can. Because also, the more muscle you have, the less fat you can have in your body too, because
yes.
muscle takes up that space,
The muscle will burn
So,
that, it will increase your metabolism as well,
but
so
I've also noticed myself personally, because I've taken up, I have a personal trainer that I train with a lot, and I find that it's also mentally made me stronger. Like lifting heavy weights has made my mental health stronger. And also, when I'm lifting heavy weights, I've noticed I can't think about anything else. So, like if I've had a really tough day or I'm tired or and you go to the gym and you're lifting a heavy weight, your whole body is just thinking about lifting that weight that you can't
yes,
think about anything else. And it's
you can
really,
check out.
yeah,
Yeah, you
really
can
good
check
for the
out.
brain to just be like, not thinking
Mm,
about the work things or the kids or what are we having for dinner or, because you're
yeah.
trying to lift this weight that is heavy.
That's another interesting thing actually on the topic about creatine and then also different amino acids and things like taurine as well, is you can lift heavy weights and yes, if you love cardio, you can go for a run as well, absolutely. But you have to think about the amount of stress that your body goes under too. So there's always the good stuff and the bad stuff. So
Yes.
your body does go through a lot of stress. There's a lot more reactive oxygen species that are produced during that time. So taking things like creatine and taurine can neutralize that, and that can actually help your body recover better.
So I read that when the muscle tears, when you are lifting a heavy weight, it releases an enzyme that
Hmm.
also slows down the progression of Alzheimer's. So
Yes.
it's also been linked that heavy weight training will also slow down Alzheimer's, brain fog, and
Yeah.
everything that I was talking about. So, for me, that was an aha moment. Like I was like,
Mhm.
something that all of us can so easily do is go to the gym
Yeah,
3 times.
absolutely. And I think also you do need to do a little bit of research and homework. Like years ago, I was with a personal trainer, came out of a bad breakup, and I was with her for a year, and she was fantastic, but very, very tall girl, very broad shoulders. She had me doing a lot of very, very heavy weights and lots of sort of lat pull downs, etc., things like that. And for my small build, it made me look a bit weird. To be
Yes.
honest, I was very fit. I was very tiny as well. My shorts were like tiny,
Yeah.
but I didn't like the way it looked. So do your research and find something that works for what you're trying to achieve. But
Yes.
definitely, yeah, try and lift some weights and make it quite heavy. Just, yeah, get some good advice.
Many personal trainers. There's so many apps now that can
Yes.
it'll show you, different exercises if you're not sure what to do. As I said,
Mm,
sometimes women don't want to go into a gym because it's very male dominated, and if you are sort of, I want to say middle age and you're a little bit, you picked up a little bit of weight, you don't feel, you're not in the tight Lorna Jane. you know?
yeah. And also, I think we kind of don't. Sometimes you worry about, doing it wrong as
Exactly.
well.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
as I
talk
said,
to somebody. There's people there for a reason,
yeah,
right?
but
Yeah.
you can I know, like, with my gym, I know the times when there's not a lot of people, so you kind of try
Mm,
to build it into your day that way, and then
yes.
you also have those gyms now that, like I said, are open 24 hours, so, again, find the times throughout the day or just invest in buying some dumbbells and kettlebells and,
Yes.
those things are not overly expensive to buy nowadays.
No, exactly. No, I think there's so many things we can do, like, through menopause and coming into perimenopause, just also understanding the signs that you might be in perimenopause and taking action early. I did read a few signs the other day. Your bladder's not as strong. You wanna go pee quite frequently, or you can't hold it as well. Sleep issues, insomnia is one of them, but that can be linked to other stuff too.
There is so many, but I
Yeah.
think for us in the skincare world,
Mm.
where I normally find people come when there's a problem. They come, they go, "Oh, I'm looking old." What they're actually seeing is a decrease in estrogen as estrogen changes in their body. But I think now, for us being in this whole wellness longevity industry, we
Mhm.
have to give the advice to our customers that, this is a whole lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Yes, you need good skincare, and we know all the ingredients out there, right? There's lots of ingredients. We need the supplementation now as
Mhm.
also
Good
that
support, good support. You need a whole food diet. You
we
need to
do.
be intentional. You need to be more intentional with what you're putting in your system. Like, it's going to
Definitely.
help you. Yeah.
You want to get your gut health right. We know that gut health is human health, basically. So we've got to get that right. We've got to get into the gym and exercise and pick
Mhm.
weights. We have to prioritize sleep. And it sounds like a lot of things on a
Yeah, the list builds up, doesn't it? And it can be quite overwhelming. It seems a bit unfair, like,
down. But
yeah,
I think those are types of the advice that we have to give now to our customer. It can't just be, hey, I'm going to give you this product and let's hope for the best, because we know from a skincare perspective, we're up against a lot of things. And I think we've
yeah,
got to be very honest and realistic with our customers that giving them a product doesn't mean that they're going to see a difference straight away. It's going
no,
to take a little bit of time. So
yeah,
there needs to be that patience aspect of it. But if they can incorporate a couple of more extra things into their lifestyle,
yeah,
and just starting with basic things, and some of the basic things is, you know, just introducing creatine. Just do that first
yeah.
and then start going to the gym. And those 2 things might fix up your sleeping.
They're all positive things as well, even if you do a few of those things on the list and don't beat yourself up if you get it
Yeah.
wrong one day, that's a huge thing. Don't sort of go downhill just because one day's, been a bit flat. I think I've mentioned this to you many times, but it's in our garage. My partner's I admire his discipline. He
Yes.
always if he takes something on, he has to be the best at it. The quote says that the greatest form of self-respect is discipline, and I do think that that is really quite strong when you actually think about it. The reward that your brain gives you when you're disciplined is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's discipline in all those things. Discipline in using your good skincare, discipline in trying to eat whole foods as much as you can. I always say to like customers that come and see me, even just do it 40% of the time
Yeah.
initially. Just eating good Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And comes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you might just be a little bit more relaxed. But
Interestingly, though, your body actually starts craving the good stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
And then you start
change.
eating something that's not so good and you really feel the impact and you're like, actually, that's not food. I don't like it. So
Yes.
you naturally will start eating more good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that 40%, that's a good idea. Try with 40% first. Yeah.
It's a big part of our journeys now, because I see with a lot of my girlfriends, they seek the quick fix. So they rushing off and they want to have the fillers and the Botox and all that type of stuff, but it does catch up. Do you know what I mean? It's not the solution. That's complementary service or a
Yeah.
complementary treatment to, yes, improve, but really it's a holistic approach.
Mm. It's funny actually you say that. I had a little get together a couple of weeks ago, and one of the girls there, she's lovely, but she had when you do your laser or your IPL and the pigmentation comes up and it's all spotty, what's it
Yes.
called?
I don't know what it's called, but I know what you
It's
mean.
got a name anyway, it's not coming to me, but I've seen it time and time again. But yeah, so obviously the pigmentation is crusting over, looks a bit sort of like black sand, right? And I said to her, "Did you have laser on your skin or IPL?" And she said, "Yeah." She's like, "I'm all about the quick fixes. I tried that skincare that you gave me, but I just want it to happen there and like here and now." She's like, "I don't care how much money it costs. I just want it to happen now." And I'm looking at her like, "You're going to regret that." And I'm sorry. Yeah.
Unfortunately, with the human body, there is no quick fix. But I think that's where us, as part of the, because I see our industry moving into the wellness industry,
Yes.
that, we have to, yeah, set the expectations quite early on with our customers and provide extra value that they're not going to get from watching something on TikTok, or they're not going to get from buying
Mm.
products or stuff from Chemist Warehouse. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, just cancel out the noise a little bit from what they might be hearing, 'cause it's a lot of noise and it's from a lot of unqualified people. And beauty therapists, we do have more exposure to industry insight. Like, we do have more education and more understanding. So absolutely, if you can translate that to your client and, let them know, like, this can actually really help you with your journey, whether it's creatine, magnesium, maybe to help with their stress levels, etc. Like, there's so many things that you can offer extra value in. They will be more inclined to take your advice, I'm sure.
There's one of the ladies that I follow on social media, and she talks a lot about how women feel very like blah. Do you know what I mean? Like very like
Mm.
unmotivated. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of that comes also because you're not moving enough. We work, all of us sit in front of a computer,
Mhm,
drive somewhere. But I think from my own personal experience, when I feel blah, when
mhm.
I exercise or I move my body, I
Oh,
actually
yeah.
feel better. So I think
Incredibly
that
better, yeah.
also will help women from not feeling that sort of tanking feeling that we get. Just
Yes.
keep your body moving and
If
yeah,
I go one day without moving, I am like a tyrant, like, no one wants to be around me. My brain just goes to a very negative space. I need to get outside and move, and I think these days we spend, unfortunately, a lot of time on our phones, a lot of time on screens and devices, and it's also those little moments, like, even in myself, I notice I'll go for a 6K walk and I'll do a little bit of weight training, but then I'll, like, sit on the couch on my phone.
yes,
It's
yes,
like, "What am I doing? This is not
yes,
really good use of time." That little moment on the couch on my phone, I could have been doing something more productive, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like, limit the amount that you
Mindful.
are doing that.
And I have taken for granted all the things I know about perimenopause, menopause, holistic,
Mhm,
but it's only when I'm with my friends or I'm with family members that are much older than me do I
mm,
realize a lot of people don't know this stuff. A lot
yeah,
of women don't know this stuff. And I think
yes,
that's part of our responsibility in this health, wellness, skin industry is that we're not just giving skin advice. We're not just going, I want you to be using these products. We are giving the other bits of advice. We can't force people to do it, but
no.
that's part of our
But
job.
we all know that when your client jumps on the treatment bed, they're going to open up to you about their
Yes.
mental stuff, their physical stuff. They're gonna tell you how they're feeling physically, they're gonna tell you what else is going on in their life, you're just going to hear it. So you might as well be educated and loaded with really good information for them, to take home, and yeah, like you said, they get added value as well, which is
And it's
great.
that added value that makes you different. And it's that
Yeah.
added value that if I've been to a therapist and they've really sat and listened to what I've said and given me some advice, and I've taken that advice and it's worked, I regard them in such high regard. I'm going to tell other people about them. And I feel that is really the only way as a professional industry that we are going to be able to, I don't want to say survive the tsunami of how retail is changing, but it is the only way we are going to survive in this digital age
Yes.
is providing that extra value. So people go, wow, she's a really cool girl, or she gave me that advice and I feel amazing. And that's why we do these podcasts too, to share this advice so that people within our industry are better informed.
Yeah, I think so too. Like you said, a lot's going digital, even personal trainers, like
Yeah.
digital, right? And all of your skincare, there's a lot out there that's promising these amazing results. And look, some of it probably does give really good results, but it's not controlled. Like, your skin's an organ, and it's much better to be under professional care. So I think that your professional care has to be more than putting products on someone's face and
Yes.
giving them a good moisturizer. It needs to be a lot more
Yeah,
than what it used to be.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rosie, thank you so much for joining me today.
You too.
Thanks so much for listening. As I said, we hope you've had a little bit of an aha moment there. We'd love you to share that aha moment, and we look forward to bringing you our next podcast.
Cool. Have a nice one.